Somewhere safe and high, way up in the sky, there's a paradise I have found. What I'd like to find is that peace of mind, while my feet are still touching the ground. Somewhere in the universe, dreams go on so far beyond the dawn. Even unicorns, I can see one sleeping on my lawn. Somewhere safe and high, way up in the sky, there's a paradise I found. What I'd like to find is that peace of mind, while my feet are still touching the ground. While my feet are still touching the ground. Somewhere in the universe,
the sun once went around the earth, according to the Holy Church, which helped to reassure people that they were the center of the universe. One day His Holiness the Pope met a man with a telescope and said, "Hey, Mr. Galilei, what does your spyglass say?" And the scientist spoke. He said, "It's really quite amazing. Entirely life-changing. So let me ask before I show you, do you really want to know? Oh, do you really want to know? Oh, Emma read the Bible for direction. She said, said she was a child of heaven, and that the human race came from a higher place, from the angels descended. She wound up marrying her cousin. He was a thinker of a husband, lost and thought she'd find him. Say, Charlie, what you writing? Darwin looked up and said, it's really quite amazing. Entirely life-changing. So let me ask before I show you, do you really want to know? Oh, do you really want to know? Oh, do you really want to let knowledge like a breeze in through the door of your belief, flow through the rooms and the corridors, knock cherished heirlooms to the floor. That wind can raise the roof sometimes and leave you blinking at the sky. So if you stare into this glass, beware that there's no going back. You'll say sunrise, but it will refuse. Instead, the earth itself will move and spin you round from dawn to dawn into the wonder of it all. Oh, 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 do you really want to know? Oh, do you really want to know?
Hi there. Good morning. Hoping a whole lot that everybody that's with us this morning or this afternoon is doing well, making it through another week of our time in the pandemic. This is All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church in Shreveport, and this is a church built on covenant rather than creed. We don't have to think alike, believe alike, to love alike, and hold as high values justice and compassion for each other. So whoever your integrity and truth call you to be, whatever your age or race or origin or orientation or background, status, ability, identity, if you care to be here with us in a spirit of mutual respect, you will always be welcome. We set aside this time in order that we might collectively elevate and contemplate matters of worth. And that's what the root is of the Old English word worship. So, because this is a diverse group, because we have many spiritual paths, those ideas of what's worth can be many and varied, and we come together to share those and learn from one another. Next week is going to be our water communion service, even though we're not here together, and I think maybe Susan will tell you a little bit about that in a little while. For now, catch your breath, relax a little, shake your shoulders out and let them drop away from your ears. Check in with yourself. Let the things that feel stressful fall away for just a little while.
good morning. And I'm Bennett Upton. I am the board president here at All Souls UU. And I just had a couple of quick announcements to make. One is that I'm going to teach a new UU course on 27 September at 1 o'clock p.m. You may have already gotten an invite to this, but I just wanted to make sure and clear it up. 27 September, so it's a couple weeks out still. But the new UU is a good class to, it's 6 sessions long. It's an introduction to Unitarian Universalism, and which is it's a living tradition. And so it's changed a lot over the last, like how long have you been around? It's probably changed since you got here. So if you've been around for a long time, you may also be interested in this. And every now and again, I do get folks that have been in the tradition for quite a while who want to join the new UU class. But it's a pretty good one. It's a lot of guided discussion, and you'll meet some interesting folks that happen to stop by classes like this, which is always an interesting group of people. So yeah, I'd invite you to join me for that. And if you want to get an invite to that and you are new and we don't know who you are and you don't have my email address, then fill out the visitors log, which usually kind of magically appears inside of the comments on the Facebook feed. And I will make sure that you get an email for that. Also, recurring donations. If you'd like to make a recurring donation, then it's cool. You can do it. There's a donations link that will also appear in the Facebook feed in the comments. But if you send me an email and let me know that you want to manage it yourself, I can actually send you an invite so that you're able to get in there and kind of manage it, turn it on and off when you want to, change your donation levels and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of different things that we can do with the donations. Our system's pretty flexible. Just wanted to make sure that you were aware that that was available. But certainly we can always use the money, and the donations link is always available to you. Or you can drop off a check at the church or mail it or whatever you want to do. There's lots of options. Anyway, thanks for your time and enjoy the service. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Bennett, and good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here with us today in worship. We appreciate it so much. I wanted to piggyback on what Barbara was saying earlier, that we are doing water communion next week. Naturally, it will be a little different this year. And what we're asking, if you, and first of all, to talk about what water communion is, you bring water from your experience of the past summer. And I know this past summer has been very different for a lot of us, but even in a regular year, whatever that may be, we tell people it's not necessarily about a travel log. It's about whatever experience you had. Maybe you explored tadpoles in a puddle in your backyard with your toddler. Maybe you, wow, I have a soundtrack. That's wonderful. Thank you. Maybe you just moved into your a new apartment and just water from your sink. I mean, just something from your everyday life. And if you went somewhere exciting, of course we want to know about that too. That's fine. But we know that a lot of people haven't been going a whole lot of places, and maybe something from that inner journey that a lot of us have been making would be wonderful. You can bring your water by the church. You can leave it outside the office starting today and throughout the week. And put your story about the water, like write it down and leave it with your container of water. If you would like to make a very short video, and we're thinking 30 seconds or less, about what your water represents, we would love to show that as part of the service. And we will be talking more about that throughout the week. You'll get it in your email. And so anyway, that's what I know about water communion. We have family religious education today at 1 o'clock p.m. That's for pre through 5th grade, and middle and high school. We've been trying this Friday afternoons at 4:30. And for now, we are sticking with that, but I think I'm also going to be opening up a Slack channel for that group so that we can communicate with each other. And I don't know that there will ever be an ideal time for really busy, active, wonderful young people, and we will just get together as well and as often as we can. Um, I believe that is all I have today, and I will turn it back over to Reverend Barbara.
So we have some things coming up, and we hope you'll be part of that. Also, there'll be some more to pay attention to for next week, too. I have a call to worship this morning that comes from John Gibbs Millspaw. Now, he is someone who's got a degree from Harvard Divinity School and Harvard John F. Kennedy School for Government, and he's the executive director of Carnism Awareness and Action Network. He's come and done lectures for the Southwestern Ministers Unitarian Universalist Association before. And I've invited Steve Caldwell to be a part of trading this reading with me. Steve, if you would like to begin.
All too often, we pace the geometries of our walled gardens,
Believing we are traversing the whole of creation.
with spirits of discovery. Let us uncover the mysteries nested in our routines.
With the eagerness of children, let us seek out the secrets unfolding in our peripheral vision.
Let us behold each fellow creature with reverence.
Let us greet each day with praise and thanksgiving.
For life is a gift of incomprehensible magnitude.
Our lives are voyages with unknowable destinations.
Along the way, let us meet, honor, challenge, and support one another.
Let us fashion a network of mutuality and extend it into the larger world.
In these ways, we forge lives of goodness and beauty.
In these ways, we know the life of prayer. Thank you, Steve. Once a month, the International Council of Unitarian Universalists announces a chalice lighting for the International Unitarians and Universalists. The one for this month is the 201st monthly global chalice lighting. And this one comes from Roos van Deurden, minister in a part of the Netherlands. And his words are these: we gathered here and now for a moment. We've stopped working, studying, doing dishes. There are no tasks, no emails, no phone calls. We're gathered to feel closer to each other, to feel closer to ourselves, to feel closer to our deepest inspiration, the stream of life that runs through our body and runs through the world. May we be opened to see and hear in each other what our souls want to say. I invite Noah Wagstaff to lead part of our chalice line.
All right, kids, this is parts for you. All right, y'all all know how it goes. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart.
Thank you very much. This is from Sean Trapp. Our chalice reminds us of that the fire within ourselves is the same fire that illuminates the universe. It is our reminder that all is connected, even though the space of the void is vast. And our experience here is but a blip in the cosmic timeline. This flame is our promise that in our smallness, in our short time on this earth, that we live intently and deeply with love for one another, with honesty and integrity, to be guided by rational thought and critical thinking, and with a sense of shared responsibility. For as the late astronomer Carl Sagan reminded us, this pale blue dot is the only home we've ever known. Kirk Bogue wrote this for the Midwest UU board. With gratitude and grace, we lead forward to answer the call of our faith. We move happily together into the unknown. We open ourselves to growth. We go forth to begin the change to our corner of the world. We covenant together to transform the world through love, and we're moved by spirit to accomplish good works with compassion and love for all. Since we are talking about covenant, I'd like to ask Noah again to please lead our unison affirmation.
Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other.
And good morning again. This is Joseph Priestley, who'll be on a picture in just a second. He was a chemist and a teacher and a theologian and a Unitarian minister. And he's also credited with the discovery of oxygen, which he isolated in its gaseous state. He made this discovery because he was open to the more than meets the eye, that something we couldn't see could be keeping us alive. Oh, and he also invented carbonated water. He was our true forerunner in that science was an important part of his religious life. He believed that an understanding of the natural world would promote human progress and enrich Christianity. This unusual theology for its time, combined with his support for religious freedom and for dissenters, got his house and his lab burned down by a mob in his hometown of Birmingham, England. He fled first to London and then to America, where he helped to establish Unitarianism on this continent. Priestley understood what many people struggle to understand today, that while science and religion cannot replace each other, they needn't be estranged from each other either. They are both all about wonder and awe, riddle and mystery, and continuing questions. Brittany, if you have that picture, I think it was going to be the next one after the story slide, after the zebra. You don't have? It should be in the, no? Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. I apologize. Look up a picture of Joseph Priestley when you get a chance. I so wish that Alan Rickman were still alive to play him in the movie, because he's a dead lookalike. So just picture Alan Rickman in period costume and you've got it. Thank you all so much.
Good morning. For today's meditation, let yourself find a comfortable position, your body balanced, your spine straight. Begin with a deep, comfortable breath, shifting your attention to your heart space, and imagine breathing in and out of your heart. Allow your breath to deepen and slow, and allow your breath to be soft and kind. As you enter more deeply into the sacredness of this moment, in your mind's eye, see yourself standing in the midst of a large field, the sky above you visible from horizon to horizon. In the midst of that sky is one small cloud. Recognize and reflect that one small cloud represents all that I have thought and learned, all my habits of knowing and doing. So small, in the midst of the great unknown, in the midst of infinite potential. And reflect, my true nature does not lie in the thoughts and stories I have acquired. The essence of my livingness within and without cannot be limited by any concept or idea. There is so much more to my being and becoming. Today, in this sacred moment, I choose to trust. I open my heart to what lies beyond the limitations of my mind. I trust my knowing to the unknown that gives it life. I trust my compassion and kindness to guide my steps in uncharted territory. And I trust this moment's awareness to give me what I need to know now. I have touched the radiance of the open sky, and I will return to my life of choices and challenges. bearing gifts for beloved community. The healing that can only come from wholeness. The wisdom that cannot be spoken, but can be embraced. And the joy that inspires us all to celebrate the great mystery. In these moments of silence, say to yourself, as I breathe in, I touch the radiance of the vast sky of being. As I breathe out, I share its gifts with my world. As I breathe in, I touch the radiance of the vast sky of being. As I breathe out, I share its gifts with my world.
And hi, so today I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my journey to becoming a Unitarian Universalist, which is kind of a strange thing for me to say. I guess I've always kind of resisted putting any labels on myself and kind of trying to put myself in a box. But I certainly have gone ahead and taken the plunge and called myself a Unitarian Universalist. But I don't think that there was one place where I became a UU, but several times when I've kind of realized that it applied to me and that where I embraced it. I guess one thing though is that I've also taken a broader view, maybe a more Unitarian Universalist definition of the word religious. To mean how we bring our values out into the world. And when I take that larger definition of the word, then it kind of takes back and it shows how religions in general are just they're larger than the things that frequently we think of them as being a collection of beliefs. But as a Unitarian Universalist, of course, like the beliefs aren't required. So the word has to open up a little bit if we're going to use it. And so now seeing that, I can also see in other religions, and specifically like the things that make them what they are. And that's not just, their belief in a God or the lack thereof or anything like that. The very specific things that I might pick out and disagree with, that's no longer the whole of them. But with that definition of religious or religion, a little while back, I had a friend of mine who was telling his story about his religion. And he was maybe a hyphenated UU, but his religion also used to be my religion. And I missed it. When he was telling me that story, and his story was beautiful, and I'm not going to relate it here, but he told a very beautiful story, and I realized that the beauty that was in his story was also part of the story that I held on to. And it meant a lot to me, and my time being in that religion was important to me, and I learned a lot in it. And it really just struck me in that moment that I missed it. But I've had a lot of religions, and they've all been a part of who I am. And at different points in my life, I've missed all of them. Honestly, I've learned a lot from all of them, and they've taught me a lot. So I started off life as an Episcopalian, and I left it pretty early on. So my experience of being an Episcopalian, it wasn't so much about the beliefs that they held about the Trinity or whatever it was, or about birth control. People pick out things about Episcopalians that they may not like, but that's absolutely nowhere near the whole of it. What I remember about being an Episcopalian was that there were a lot of nice women, and they took me into a Sunday school class, and they gave me cookies, and they told me stories out of the Bible, good stories about, you know, the Good Samaritan, and about people who were doing the right thing even when it was hard to do. They gave me juice. We played games. They gave me coloring books. I remember that. And I still believe in all of those things. And I still believe that all of those things are really good. I was also, I was an atheist for a while. And as an atheist, I think, you know, like there were some things about the Episcopalians that I did not agree with. And I learned as an atheist how to absolutely call someone when they're lying to me. And that's been a valuable skill that I've used throughout my life. It's been near and dear to my heart. And so I absolutely treasure my time as an atheist and all of the things that I learned. But also, like, I was a pagan for a while, you know, and pagans have such a vibrant and rich community, so much music, and I was a humanist, where you weave your values into your daily actions and you act on them. A spiritualist, where you look for the mystery in the world. I feel like every single one of these things, it was really important to me. I learned a lot, but also these things, they were very useful for me for that point where I was in my life, that situation that I had, the environment that I lived in. That was what I needed those religions for. And Unitarian Universalism holds all of these things and doesn't make me let one go. These traditions all held truth for me. They were all relevant to me in the place that I needed them in my life, and not holding all of that truth just because they had some belief that I found later on did not seem to be the complete truth. But not holding it all isn't a failure of a religion as much as it is a failure of words. It's not that the religions are inadequate. It's just that the truth is too large to fit into those words. So I guess, you know, like, Unitarian Universalism doesn't make me give up any of those things, and in doing so, it allows me to hold a lot more of that all in one place, and I can sit with the paradoxes of having all of those things with me at all times. And I guess the real bonus is being able to do it with all of the wonderful people that I've met here. And so, yeah, I'm just glad to be here, and thank you. And with that, I think I'll turn it over. I think there's a music video next. I'll turn it over to Barbara. Thank you.
Ever wonder where war began? How it all came about in the first place? Ever wonder if you'll live to see it end? You are there when stars are being born, and you get to see oceans forming, mountains rising, first wings on the wind. Which way did the wind blow then? Can you feel it? History repeating, or can we stop the show? I don't know. I don't know. Have you ever tried to count the raindrops? Separate a puddle into components. Is rain rain if it never hits the ground? With the beating down of rays from the sun, touching even the most private person, marking a rhythm written out of time. Your life is a part of mine, and still there's more here than we can imagine. More than meets our minds. Ever wonder where you'll go after this? Ever wonder if perpetual motion has its origins in something serene and fine? Serene and fine. We know now, we know then. We can see it all as time falls open. I want to thank Bennett for sharing. I asked him to speak with us this morning because I overheard some comments he made talking to other people who are considering membership in the church, talking about his journey to being self-described as a Unitarian Universalist. And that's the what we call pillars. That's the pillar that we're about to move into in our church life. The pillars are study topics that we cycle through each year. We go through, first of all, with the school year, we begin with Unitarian Universalist identity. Then we go to our Jewish and Christian heritage. And then we move to world religions. Then we go to peace, social justice, and the interdependent web. And then we go to personal spiritual growth. All of this over the course of a school year. And Unitarian Universalism is up first. So now that we're back in school, we're about to begin that study. So when Bennett was talking about his journey, he said he had been self-described before this particular incident as a secular humanist. And then he felt like there was more to it than that. And that's kind of how I got to our topic for today. There's more than meets the eye. Now, when I listen, or when I study the ideas of secular humanism, or look at what they say about secular humanists online, or something like that, I run into, over and over again, this being set against the idea of the supernatural. That's kind of exploded for me now. What we have considered beyond possibility, what we had thought would be against natural law, or work beyond nature. You know, some people might have called some of it superstitious before, but we are running into things like that in science all the time. Things that we could not have believed or would have thought ludicrous 20 years ago are everyday life now. I always come back to the idea that, there are animals, certain species of bees and birds and fish that can see 99 million colors that humans can't see. There are a lot of animals, dogs in particular, that come to mind for me, that can hear all kinds of things that we can't hear. There can be sound, like low-frequency sound, that is loud enough that it damages your hearing and you're totally unaware of it. In scientific physics circles, one theory holds that there are 10 dimensions rather than the 3 or 4
length, breadth, depth, and time. Time we don't really have a handle on yet anyway. But 10. And then there's another theory that says there are 26 dimensions. Now, even in the ones that we're dealing with now, there's speculation that 80% of matter is dark matter, and we can't see it. There's only 20% of what's here that we can see or experience. Do me a favor, right now, check in with your feet. See what you're feeling there. Were you aware of that just a few seconds ago? Was it part of your awareness? How about your shins and knees? Your physical being. There are so many forces at play in ourselves, in the world around us, that we miss. We don't have the capacity yet to attend all of these things. We don't have the capacity yet to see all of these things, hear all of these things, feel all of these things, know all of these things. Now, when we talk about religion, there's a conversational tool that you'll hear in a lot of Unitarian Universalist circles. You'll just catch it from time to time. And I had always kind of assumed that it came from Unitarian Universalists and that it was a relatively new comment. But it turns out that it's attributed to a Presbyterian minister named George Buttrick, who was born in 1892. He lectured at Yale, was a professor at Harvard and Vanderbilt. He taught at Union Theological Seminary in New York, which is one of the biggest, and Garrett Theological Seminary in Evanston, which is Methodist, and Southern Baptist Seminary in Louisville. A lot of Unitarian Universalist ministers have gone through Harvard Divinity School. So he spread his teachings and was recognized in all sorts of circles. But the expression or the conversational device that he came up with, if I am to believe the research, is tell me about the God you don't believe in. Chances are I don't believe in that God either. Now, Scott Alexander, who's a Unitarian Universalist published author of 11 books, said, for some of you, God is, the old Universalists put it, love, mercy, and justice that lives in people and the world. For others of you, God is a life force or creative spirit or higher power or supreme intelligence or infinite ground of being which animates creation, making life and purpose possible. For others of you, God is an unknowable mystery that utterly defies definition and description. And I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge that for some of you, God is simply a concept that is of absolutely no spiritual usefulness. I know that there are at least a couple in this congregation who express the belief that the word God has no value at all except to hurt people. This morning, however, we're considering more than meets the eye, rather than trying to imagine smaller. I could ask John Lennon to stretch his imagination. There's a poet named James Kavanaugh. He's deceased also. He was an iconoclastic former priest who came to write about having lost the comfortable beliefs of his childhood. He said, "I have lost my easy God, the one whose name I knew since childhood. He was a good God. He was a predictable God. He made pain sensible and patience possible and the future foreseeable. Now he haunts me seldom. Some fierce umbilical is broken. Now I live with my own fragile hopes and sudden rising despair. My easy God is gone, and in his stead, the mystery of loneliness and love." There's a book that we give out, I think, or there are a couple of books that we give out at different stages in the spectrum of church life. Mine is an old copy. It's called Our Chosen Faith. Now it's just called A Chosen Faith. But one of the two authors of this book was a man named Forrester Church. Forrester Church was the minister at All Souls in New York City for 30 years. He also wrote the foreword to the Jefferson Bible. Now, he had found, as he was growing up, his father would give him books to read, and one of the books that he gave him to read was the Jefferson Bible. In Jefferson's life, he went through the Bible and extracted the things that he thought were the teachings of Jesus rather than the teachings about Jesus. And the Jefferson Bible ends with the stone being rolled in front of the tomb of Jesus. What that brought Forrester Church to confront was mortality and the value of life. He didn't lose a sense, ultimately, of something that he was comfortable calling God. I'm going to read a few of his quotes. A couple of them are from his book, The Cathedral of the World, A Universalist Theology. And another one is from the introduction to A Chosen Faith. For his church, said, "God language can tie people in knots, of course. In part, that's because God is not God's name. Referring to the highest power we can imagine, God is our name for that which is greater than all and yet present in each. For some, the highest imaginable power will be a petty and angry tribal baron ensconced high above the clouds on a golden throne, visiting punishment on all who don't believe in him. But for others, the highest power is love, goodness, justice, or the spirit of life itself. Each of us projects our limited experience on a cosmic screen in letters as big as our minds can fashion." He did point out the limitations. For those whose vision is constricted, illiberal, narrow-minded people, this can have horrific consequences. But others respond to the munificence of creation with broad imagination and sympathy, answering to the highest and best within and beyond themselves. They draw lessons and fathom meaning so redemptive that surely it touches the divine. I say to my congregants, if you believe in God, the best thing you can do for yourself is to suspend your belief for a while, because undoubtedly your God is too small, and you must grow beyond that God. On the other hand, if you don't believe in God, your very disbelief is a stumbling block. Kick it away and place your faith in something more ennobling than disbelief. Take a flyer. Expand your purview. Take a leap of faith. Either way, there's more to the story, more to the journey, more to learn, to see, to understand. Just the mystery of human nature is more than we've been able to solve so far. Going on with Forester Church. None of us is fully able to perceive the truth that shines through another person's window, nor the falsehood that we may perceive as truth. Thus, we can easily mistake another's good for evil and our own evil for good. A true and therefore humble universalist theology addresses this tendency, which we all share, while speaking eloquently to the overarching crisis of our times. Dogmatic division in an ever intimate, fractious, and yet interdependent world. It posits the following fundamental principles. 1, there is one reality, one truth, one God. This reality shines through every window in the cathedral and out from every eye. No one can perceive it directly, the mystery being forever veiled. Number 4, sorry, I haven't been numbering them as we go. Yet, on the cathedral floor and in the eyes of each beholder, refracted and reflected through different windows in different ways, it plays in patterns that suggest meaning, challenging us to interpret and live by the meaning as best we can. Number 5, therefore, each window illumines truth with a large T in a different way, leading to different truths with a small t, and these in differing measure according to the insight and receptivity of the beholder. Part of what we try to do in our Unitarian Universalist identity and in our Jewish and Christian heritage studies is find ways to disarm our knee-jerk responses to words. If there is a word from another tradition that makes your skin crawl or immediately evokes some sense of shutting down or hostility, the work is ours to do, not the other people. Finding ways to move into a larger picture in which there is always more to understand, more to look for, more to see. We find our way back to being able to have our circle large enough to contain all of the truths we've found along the way, understanding them in a brand new way, not having to make a point of how small someone else's understanding of that is along their way, or different from our own, maybe. People come to this tradition looking for like minds. What we have in common is values of honoring the inherent worth of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion, and relating to one another. Acceptance of each other and learning together, encouraging us all to continue a spiritual growth. Voting is a value that we hold together. It's an important value that we need to be active participants in. The right of conscience is part of our system. We value the interdependent web that's bigger than we can imagine, way beyond our limitations. There's always more. There's a man named Charles Magistro who said, "I'm amused by the view that it's easy to be a Unitarian Universalist. It's as easy to be a Unitarian Universalist as it is to be persistent, courageous, and curious. It's as easy to be a Unitarian Universalist as it is to search the murky waters of life without sure charts to guide us, or any guarantee that we will find a safe port to put down anchor. It's as easy to be Unitarian Universalist as it is to overcome the natural fear of the unknown and venture forth with nothing to sustain us save our zest for living and hunger for new experiences and knowledge. Our way is a religion, in religion is not the way of easy answers. We are called to be sailors, for many worlds exist waiting to be discovered, and not the least of these worlds are within ourselves. It takes as much persistence, courage, and curiosity to look into our own depths, to come to terms with the twin mysteries of being alive and having to die, to see ourselves in new and larger ways without being dishonest about our limitations, as it did for Columbus to sail thousands of miles into an unknown sea until he found dry land. We won't talk about what happened after that right now. There's more to nature than we know. Something we might consider supernatural may be absolutely natural, just not part of nature we understand yet. Dismissing someone else's experiences because we find them not believable is limiting our own view. There's so many forces in play that we don't know about or simply fail to discern, pay attention to. We don't all have the same experiences, the same understanding of God, or the piece of proverbial elephant. Well, I'm sure share that story sometime soon. That other people have. It takes bringing them together in community. It takes respecting our limitations and what we don't know, recognizing there's always more. Reverend Teresa I. Soto said, "In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics." We have a closing song I believe many of you will know the melody. It's to the song, I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. Creative love, our thanks we give, that this our world is incomplete, that struggle greets our will to live, that work awaits our hands and feet, that we are not yet fully wise, that we are in the making still, that friends who share one enterprise and strive to blend with nature's will. What though the future long delay, and still our faults we daily cope, it gives us that for which to pray, a field for toil and faith and hope. Since what we choose is what we are, and what we love we yet shall be, the goal it ever shines afar, the will to reach it makes us free. If you are who you were, and the person on the other end of this broadcast is who they are when they arrived, if none of us has changed at all since the day we entered this place for the first time, we've failed. The purpose of this community, of any church, temple, zendo, mosque, is to help its people grow. We do this through encounters with the unknown in ourselves, in one another, in the other, whoever that may be for us, however hard that might be, because these encounters have many gifts to offer. So may you go forth from here this morning, not who you were, but who you could be. And so may it be with all of us. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by that grace, move boldly into the unknown. Ashe, amen, so be it, blessed be. Go in peace.
Once we were lonely islands, divided nature's forces, straddled backs of horses, waging wars and crossing borders as our numbers. We bought and sold and traded.